that was 53.
Probably late 84 after I got out of high school, all the way up to probably about 90, 91.
When I was in high school, we used to race Pleasant Valley Manors because we took 77 north and 77 stopped at Rockside. So we'd go there, you can check there's no cops at the median, and then we'd drag race back.
In my time, they met up at the lot, which was at Chi-Chi's in North Olmsted, right?
Like Sweet Valley, when they industrial park, they just leveled everything, put a nice concrete road in, and it was straight, and we had it marked off for a quarter mile.
Yeah, Turnpike and drag race before it opened, you know. We also had Manners in Strongsville.
Broadway, they had A.W. root beer.
We had Bearden's.
Quigley.
We talked about West 3rd.
TikTok.
In 92, when we built that with the Bessemer.
Then every now and again, we got called down to Bessemer.
Drag racing on Brook Park.
Mainly Brook Park, Sweet Valley, out here in Northfield, Turney.
And then there was Diney's on 117th Street.
480 wasn't built all the way across. They didn't have the bridge, so you get off of transportation and you race.
Later on, we used to race on 480 between Ridge and State.
480 became very popular, especially after the repave.
Go down Brio Road and drag race.
You know, the East 55th, when that entrance ramp was still there.
117th over off Methodist.
And we used to double up the fastest cars in the front and the slower ones went behind. And we'd separate somewhere around 11 or midnight and then end up at rallies or whatever.
You know, that 2002 to 2006 time, we were, you know, going to Youngstown, Toledo, Columbus, right?
We used to go to Akron Airport and run on Sundays. I started driving in the fall of '51, in my junior and senior year night, because I graduated when I was 17, and that was '53. In Cleveland, here on Pearl and Ridge, TikTok, and that the TikTok was all the drag racing on Brook Park. He said, "Well, I got a buddy." He says he's got a motorcycle, and you can't that Ford over blah, couldn't beat him. Guy said, "That might be true, but I got a buddy's got a Merc that'll run your motorcycle." He said, "All right, you know." 39 Merc. It was all lowered. I mean, it was lowered. Primered, you know, two-door sedan. Had one headlight bolted on the front bumper, you know. So you're down by State, well, they're going to run the Ridge, so it's a pretty good run, you know. It was dark. Here they come at us. Couldn't tell who was who. It was the motorcycle or the car. You know, neither one only had one light. And that Merc blew his wheels off. In those days, you could buy a Ford engine from Ford in the crate, full 3/4 race, and just dump it in anything you wanted to. And these guys, Lingler from Lingler Excavating in Parma, and Independence, they had a 40 Coupes, and they would buy a 3/4 in a crate. And Linger had one, he had a 411 Marine, he just drove in second gear, you know, he used to kick ass, you know. So they go down on Spring, the Sky to Mercury. And Mercury was fast. They talk off at a drag race and they're running side by side. And that Ford Coupe, he was in, flat out. And then the guy shifted to third and blew his ass. The guy's running 100 miles in second gear.
that car is a 74 Impala, which is a big grandpa boat. Everybody had Chevelles and Camaros and Mustangs. So I'm driving a grandpa car. It had an aluminum wing on the back, side pipes. I eventually put a snorkel hood scoop. I put stripes on it. The back end was jacked up. We had lights in the wheel well. People used to make fun of me. People would just race me just to see. They're going, show this kid up. And the car was quick. It ran a 400 small block. It was the original motor, 10-to-1 pistons in it. Turbo 400 is the original one in it, but it would run Vegas stall converters. So that would drop me like a second. The biggest one, and one guy that always won races was a guy who had a Camaro called Shamrock. He was kind of one of the legends. Everybody wanted to race this guy. It was custom painted, early 70s Camaro, like a 71 through 73 or something. And I beat this guy, and he'd get pissed. Then we'd do running starts. We would do whatever, and I would beat him every time. He was pissed. I raced that guy probably two years on and off.
That's car raced on Bessemer. The thing about that car was, it was only, mid to high 11 car, but it always hooked. So no matter what you're racing, it just took off. And with the nitrous, we went down to like 11.0s. And back then, on the street, that was respectable. Did really, really well for the 4 years I was down there. They told me about this guy that used to go to Quigley all the time, and I'd never heard of him, and because we're at Bessemer, and he had an old Roadster. This friend of ours said, you know what, you guys might be a good race. So we pulled up 490 entrance ramp, 55th Street, and I raced him, and I lost. As time went on, when I changed the car color and stuff and changed it, I got to race this Slim again, and I lost again. I came home and told my son, I said, you know what, you're buying my car, I'm pulling the motor and trans. I lost the last race to this guy. And at that point, my wife and I went out looking for a car. And I wanted to build a car run nights. This was my goal. We went out to start racing again with a new vehicle. We had a plate, it was a Stealth at Bessemer. And I gave it to Slim and said, someday I'm going to win this plate back. $7 license plate, built a $30,000 car at the time. After we had beaten Slim a few times at the track, because we didn't go back to Bessemer anymore because the cars got too fast. So, we started running 9s. I beat Slim probably like 3 or 4 times the track. I'm like, getting ready to get my plate back. What do you think? He says, I'm building another car. Well, we buried that thing. It was funny. And so we finally get this plate back after, oh my God, it must have been 10 years. This is stupid, it has $7 license plate, but it's like the prized possession.
So Jamie Carter, he was one of the big names, not the biggest name in the local street scene, and then eventually the national street scene. I mean, he would take his Supra, racing guys in Phoenix and Texas, and when 2K got big, he was always the fastest guy. But locally, there was one car that really, really irked him because he couldn't get around it. It was the AMC boys. They had this AMC Hornet, never ran at the track with the lights on. Nobody knew what it ran. But, at the time, they called me Don King, the famous promoter, right? My forum name was Don King because I was the guy that was setting everything up. And I set up a race with Jamie and the AMC boys on 59. The AMC boys wanted to dig, Jamie wanted to roll. We met in the middle of a 30-mile-an-hour roll. First one of the bridge wins. And it was Jamie Carter's first loss in the Supra.
one of the biggest nights I can remember that we had was when Jamie Carter, which he had his Lamborghini. So he had a underground racing 2R Lambo that made like 1,500 wheel. You know, at the time I was like, oh my gosh, like this is insane. Like this is nothing like anything we've ever seen before in life. The night that he brought the Lambo down to race the AMC boys, and they raced the Hornet on US 30, and they would do like a slow roll, so when he got right beside of him, the Hornet was going to take off. And that was the night that Jamie ended up going like 206 mile an hour on US 30. It's the craziest thing I've ever seen in my life. It was probably the coolest thing I've ever seen in that time period.